So I matched with a new guy on Tinder this time. So far, we've been talking for a couple of days. Seems all right.
Love that.
Yeah. Opening line was a green flag.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, so let me pull it up. So his opening line. Morning. I have a busy day today. I'm guessing you do as well. If you have some free time, I'd love to talk.
Yeah, that's a green flag for sure.
I love that.
Yeah, letting you know that like might not respond like throughout the day,
like,
but
I'm
like
busy.
really wants to talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Big
green
fan.
flag. We're holding out hope. Welcome to Sangria With Sienna, the podcast where myself and a guest sip on delicious drinks and have candid conversations about life, love, and everything in between. Whether you're sipping on a glass of sangria or just tuning in for the conversation, we're glad to have you here. So grab a drink and let's dive in. We've got sangria today with my lovely gal pal, Katrina. The sangria, it looks brown, but I am by no means a drink like connoisseur. It's literally like red wine, orange juice, cranberry, cocktail, sparkling water, and an orange.
It's good.
Thank you. It's very standard. It tastes like summer, so I'm happy to have it. Yeah.
Especially after the snow.
Oh yeah. Happy to have a drink after teaching today.
True.
And counseling kids.
Yes. Yeah. We love our jobs.
We love them.
Yeah. Okay. So today, yes, we have Katrina here today, and she has been single, living her best and worst life out here on all the dating apps. And she was also single during the pandemic too.
Yes.
So that's a big one. Yes. That's when my like slight period of singleness was also there. So you'll hear stories from her and myself, mostly from her, about some dating disasters, a lot to do with like the online dating, but we're both from a very small town, so there's some personal connections in there too.
Yeah.
But so start us off with something, I don't know, juicy one.
Right out the gates. Okay, so I first got on Tinder. I believe I was first year university.
That's
when it first came
out. Yeah.
And my very first message that I received on Tinder was, I matched with you so that you could be my designated ugly fat friend and I could get with your hot friends.
That is so fucked up.
Yeah.
And it was downhill from there.
And it all went downhill.
That is messed up. That's a thing though, like the duff.
Yes.
But it's a thing I feel like in pop culture, but I've never met, and I guess you probably haven't met in person, a man that
is searching for
a
duff.
duff. Yeah, that's so freaking weird.
Yeah. I think it's a real sign of maturity.
Well, and what man thinks that's actually going to be like, oh, you know what? Like, exactly, maturity.
Let me give you her number.
Yeah. I feel like at this, most ages, if you want to be in a serious relationship, you want to be friends with their friends.
Yes.
So it makes no sense to like get friends on their bad side. Like what friend would actually date that guy with them having said that to you, you know? They'd be a shitty friend.
So you know my friend Sarah
Yes.
from university. So she had recently met her now partner of like 8 years. And we were at a party at her place and I showed Keenan the message.
Oh, love that. Yeah.
So Keenan saw this and was like, not on my watch. And the guy had his Instagram linked to
Fatal
his Tinder.
mistake. Yeah.
So Keenan went on to his Instagram and just spammed him with a bunch of like mean comments.
Love
and like,
it.
I don't condone bullying. Yeah. However, that was the moment I knew Keenan was right for Sarah.
Yeah. Standing up. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the opposite. He's actually like standing up for the friend. So that makes sense. So Tinder, not great.
Yeah, it's a jungle out there.
That's the only dating app I've had. You've had quite a few.
Yeah, so I'm Hinge, Bumble, and Tinder. I did
those are the big three.
Very, very brief period on Plenty of Fish.
Oh, is that Christian?
No.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else.
Well, my experience was really
not Christian men. Yeah.
So when I talk brief stint, like I created my profile.
Yeah.
By the time I was done, I swear to you, I had like probably 40 unread messages.
Oh my God.
From like the moment it was made. So then I panic and I'm really like, oh my God.
Overwhelmed.
So then I start reading some of these messages and they were just so creepy that I immediately was like, nope, went to delete it. And it's like, oh, you have to have your profile for 24 hours before you're able to delete it.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I set an alarm. I signed out, I set an alarm and I deleted it after the 24-hour mark because it was scary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not want that. No, thank you whatsoever. Tinder for me was more like that. I feel like creepy. Like it was never like, I never got any like hate. It was just like, very, very, very vulgar messages, or I had a few stories where they were just really in it, and I'm like, listen, this is Tinder. I was being a bit of a, like, let's not get too crazy here, but yeah.
I mean, you had a proposal for marriage and children.
Oh my God, that was peak pandemic. I call him Young Dad. If you're listening, I'm so sorry. I know he's married now.
Surprising.
So it worked out for him.
Expecting a kid. Literally married with a kid on the way. So he got what he wanted. But when we started talking, it was pandemic. So, I mean, we were Snapchatting and stuff, and we went for one walk or whatever. But he was very in it, and he was very upfront. Like, I want to be a dad. Like, that's all I want to be. I just want to be a dad. Like, blah, blah, blah. And he was really on me. Like, he was like, I told my mom about you. I told my family about you. And I'm like, listen, like, we've been talking for like 2 weeks. No one knows you exist. But he was he was a nice guy. Like, no red flags other than that, if you're not ready for that.
I guess, yeah, it's not a red flag, right?
Yeah.
It's what you're looking for.
And that was not me at the time. I'd just gotten out of like a 7-year relationship. I was like, I cannot jump into a pregnancy. A young teen mom at like 26 years old at that time. No, thank you. But yeah, no. So that was a lot. And then I had another guy who's so sweet too, just also way too, like, just too much into it, coming on very strong. And he had like knitted me things and wanting to like to send them to me. And I had to turn him down like 3 times because I like turned him down, and I hate that. I hate confrontation and being mean because they're nice guys. I'm like, listen, I'm just like not looking for anything serious right now. And then literally like 2 days later, you'd be like, okay, but what if I just really like you? What if we just like go to the drive? And I'm just like, you want me to tell you no again?
Yeah,
like,
this was hard enough the first time.
Yeah. And then all the other guys were just like, the vulgarest thing you can probably think of is the messages I was getting. So love that for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, then I met this
gem.
Weirdo,
Hi.
not on Tinder.
Not
I
on
knew
Tinder.
him through mutual friends. So
We met in real life.
yes, but we don't talk about it.
Only I remember,
Yeah.
which sounds bad, but
That does
I
not
had-
sound good.
See, when I lived my like wild days, university, Katrina's living them now.
I hit my peak older.
Yes, yes, which is not a bad thing. So yeah, keep them coming. Tell
Yeah.
us another thing. What's up?
Oh God. Okay. So it kind of reminds me of Young Dad.
Okay.
So I met this guy on Hinge. This is it was during the pandemic, but it was one of the openings of the pandemic.
Yeah, like we went through that period where it was like you're locked down. Oh, you can leave your house for a bit, but still be
You
scared.
can go to a bar, but like COVID comes out after 10 p.m.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know.
You're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had been talking for a bit. He seemed really nice. And by a bit, I mean like maybe a week. He seemed great. Not really what I would say is stereotypically my type, but like I'm all for let's just see if we vibe.
Yeah,
you know, because
absolutely.
people are different in person, obviously. So he invites me to go to 3 Brewers.
Great spot.
Great spot.
Yeah.
And I do love beer. So flash forward, we've got this date set. I have a wicked migraine this day.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like in tears driving my car an hour to Canada to see this guy because I didn't want to be that asshole that backs out and him sitting there thinking she's just not interested.
Yeah, because that is hard. It's hard on first dates when you're late by like 5 minutes or you actually are caught up at work or you're sick.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like to the other person, like, okay, you're not that into it. And I
Yeah.
mean, because people do lie all the time.
Yeah,
about
all
that.
the time.
Yeah, that's
all
tough.
the time. So I get to Canada and we're supposed to meet, I can't remember, let's say 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so I send the message, hey, I'm here. Like, are you and I have the same anxieties? So I'm
Yes.
sitting in the car waiting for him to say, hey, I'm here so that I know I'm not sitting in there alone.
Oh, I would not walk in first. Never. Do not have that confidence.
No.
Yeah.
So, and this was also like when I was still like just beginning to get more confident.
Yeah,
So like I
yeah.
still was not, I was a little shaky still. So he messages me finally like 15 minutes later. And he's like, I'm sorry, like caught up at work. I'm on my way.
Uh-huh.
Then I'm thinking, I'm going to throw up because my head hurts so
Yeah.
bad right now. So I was like, okay, well, I drove all the way to Canada, like whatever. So we wait 15 minutes. And then I get another message like, I'm running late. I haven't left yet.
That's
this man
wild.
shows up 30 minutes late. Okay.
Yeah.
So then finally he arrives. So I walk up and I think like he's probably waiting outside. That's, I mean, what I would do.
Yes, like especially if you know the person's there. Like if you know the person
Yeah.
hasn't arrived yet and you have the confidence and you want to go wait inside, yes, go do
Sure.
it. More power. I'm in the back. Text. I'm in the table at the back. Whatever.
Yeah.
But if you know the person's in the parking lot waiting, I feel like why would you go in? Why wouldn't you say,
Yeah.
hey, I just pulled in, let's meet out front or
Yeah.
whatever? Yeah.
So no, that doesn't happen. So I walk up and I don't see anyone outside. So I was like, okay. So I go inside and that awkward, like, I've never met this guy. So like, I don't know, like, does he look like his pictures? Am I gonna be able to spot him out? Like, I don't know. So I finally see him at like a table in the back and it was just the strangest, like, it just wasn't good conversation. And part of it, I'm sure, is because I was feeling sick.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't feeling good. So anyways, we have an okay date. And then go to leave, and I got a message from him, like, after we had left, and, like, had a great time, want to hang out again. At this point, I was, like, losing vision. I was so sick.
And I begin to pass out.
I didn't respond. I honestly, like, I pulled over at one point because
God.
I thought for sure I was going to be sick. This is how significant
Yeah.
my migraine was. And so I never responded. And then the next day, so this is, like, let's say, I don't know, 9 o'clock at this point.
Yeah.
The next morning, I get a message that's like berating me. Like, if you weren't interested, you should have just said something. Like, I paid for your drink and I paid for the nachos that I didn't even ask for.
Yeah. No.
And like, I bet you feel nothing because you probably do this to all the guys.
That's ridiculous.
Like,
wait a full 24 hours and it's like you're not responding at
Right?
all. It's like you went home, you slept, and then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, sorry. Yeah.
And to be clear, I told him I had a migraine.
yeah.
I told him I wasn't feeling well, so I was not going to be on my best game. So he knew I wasn't feeling good.
Yeah. So why? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Well, but then the good thing when people show their colors like that right away is
Early.
then you know not to
Exactly.
put any
My
more
response,
effort in.
I think, was chef's kiss. I was like, you know what? I had a great time. Well, I guess not really. I didn't. But I said, I was like, I
Yeah.
had a great time. But safe to say after this message, no, I'm not interested in going out again.
Good. And then that will maybe, we hope, make him rethink.
Maybe.
And he will learn and grow from that. But
Yeah.
maybe not.
No offense to
Yeah.
Josh over there, but I don't have much faith in men.
Yeah.
No, I
Same.
don't either.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
So that's a fun Hinge one.
Yeah. That's wild.
Actually, so my only other like real Hinge story, I met up with this guy. This was pre-pandemic. He wanted to meet at the Manx.
The what?
The Manx.
I've never heard of
It's
that.
like a dive bar.
Okay. Sure.
So I was like, yeah, all right. So again, like I go in and he's already got a table and all was good, but it was like a Saturday afternoon. There was nobody in there. So like it was easy to spot him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He orders a drink. I was like, I'm just going to have a glass of the house red. House red. So not a bougie wine.
No.
House red.
House red.
So I get a glass of wine. He orders the same thing as me.
'Kay.
We're chit-chatting. He's so cultured. Grew up in Toronto and all this stuff. And I really got the impression that made him far superior to me.
Oh,
in many
those
ways.
Toronto people.
Uh-huh. So we're talking. At this point, I'd moved back from Yellowknife too.
Right.
So like I was talking about Yellowknife and was mentioning that it was a bit of a culture shock. He starts making fun of me
No.
about like culture shock. You were still in Canada.
Oh my god. Oh yeah. You're.
wildly
like,
different places in Canada.
yeah.
I was like, okay, have you been to Yellowknife? Because I can tell you it's a culture shock. Just like going from our town to Toronto.
A small town.
Culture
I had
shock.
a culture shock going to university, and that's not to say that I wasn't aware
No,
of
but you
different
don't see
cultures
it in your face.
I don't see, and that's not saying that I didn't like it. It was just like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
it's great to be in a more multicultural city, but in a town of 9,000. In the middle
Mostly
of
white
nowhere.
people.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just it's different, and like I loved Toronto when I lived there.
Yeah.
but Yellowknife was a very different experience, and it was a
Absolutely.
culture shock.
Because it is a different culture, like even the way they live and
Yes.
like the time of day and like, yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, he'd made a couple jokes about stuff I had said, which like I got thick skin. Like I make fun of myself
Yeah.
all the time. We all laugh about dumb shit I say.
Oh yeah, and I feel like even when you're in a relationship too, like it's almost a flirty if you do it in the right way, and making fun. Yeah,
Not scoffing. Like,
yeah,
Or on the first date.
yeah, for true. And you like don't
first
know
date.
anything about them.
Yeah, maybe don't start with that.
Yeah.
And then the moment I knew I was never going to see this man again in my life, when we pay for the drinks, I paid for my own, equality.
yeah.
And he's like, "What'd you think of the wine?" I was like, "It was good. It was it's good.
Yeah.
I've got a gutter palate, so like house wine's good for me.
I love wine.
I don't discriminate.
Yeah.
And he's like, it was not very good. It was like kind of, and starts like describing how bad the wine was. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm never going to see you again. Cause like university, how I picked my wine, the cheapest dollar amount for the highest percentage.
Oh, I used to drink the
That's
boxed
how you pick your wine.
Like now it's like I can afford like a nice bottle. Like I'm really
or you
into,
find what you like and don't like. Yeah.
I'm really into like the bread and butter wine now. Like that's really good. But like university and like, even if I go out to a restaurant and like I don't have big bucks, I'm not going to buy or get a nice glass of wine. Like if
I'm
the
getting
other
the
ones
$8
are nice,
house
yes,
wine.
or Cab Sauv, that's like $11. Like it's not going to be, if you go to a restaurant that's not a winery, you're not getting amazing wine unless that's your thing.
Even then, it's a house wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Even then, it's
that's
their
wild.
cheapest wine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew in that moment.
Could you
I was
imagine
not gonna see
dating
him
someone
again.
like that though? I couldn't. Like you
No.
go any place you go, it's like, well, it wasn't that good, or you make him dinner. Well,
Yeah, you know, it was a little dry.
oh, because you know better.
Yeah,
He's a man. Men know things.
He's
like
cultured.
Wine.
he's cultured.
Yeah. Josh knows so much about wine.
So much.
Yeah. Problem with Josh is he just doesn't like wine. So he had
Yeah.
wine in Greece. Because I mean, you have to.
Because you have to, yes.
And every glass he tried of mine, and I drank a lot of wine in Greece. That's good wine. But he would be like, I don't like this. I'm like, yeah, it's you, not the wine. So, yeah.
And
You're
I-
the problem.
Yeah.
And I admitted that.
Exactly. That's true.
Oh,
So that's
boy.
the Hinge. Kind of
Yeah. I think I've only ever really met 2 people off of Hinge in person.
fair. I feel like that's the lesser. Tinder's the most used, but Tinder's also more for hookups, right?
Yeah. Okay. So let me tell you. So Hinge was created. My understanding is it's like their phrasing is the app designed to be deleted. So it was
For relationships.
intentionally made for people who were interested in relationships that didn't belong on Tinder.
Right.
But then the people from Tinder.
They're like, I'm not getting
Creeped
anybody
over there.
matches here. I'm going to try other things. Yeah.
So I got to show you this. I've got a screenshot of this here. So I wake up the other day to somebody. So on Hinge, if you've never used it before, you have matches and you can like either like a prompt that they've written or
Right.
their photo. And then they have to like accept your like for you to match.
Okay. I like that actually. It's a little bit more in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy liked one of my prompts. I can't remember what it was. And I immediately sent you this screenshot.
Oh, yeah.
So the prompt he used on his profile, I'm looking through to see kind of what this guy's about. It says, I'm convinced that. That's the prompt.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that women are boring and only like guys that are dickheads because women mind is dumb.
And it's women mind is dumb.
Women
like, that
mind
doesn't
is
even
dumb.
grammatically make sense.
So I was immediately like, oh, screenshot.
Yeah. Like, do you think
this
that's a
is
troll?
ridiculous.
Or like, no, there's actually
it's a
men like
legitimate
that.
profile.
Yeah, that's wild.
Well, this is the scary part. There are legitimately men like that.
Yeah. Nice guy. Nice guy.
Quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like,
Incel.
I don't understand why you think that prompt would attract women to you. There's this theory, I've seen it on TikTok too. It's like men who hate women, like just, but they want women. It's like, no, you just don't like women. You're playing for the other team, which is totally okay. But it's like, if you hate women that much, why are you looking
Pursuing
for women?
them.
Yeah.
It's a strange, dark world out there in terms of dating apps, for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm glad I'm not on those anymore. No offense.
None taken.
Yeah.
None
Is there?
taken.
Do you see a difference between the apps?
No.
No, they're all the same.
They're all pretty much the same. So like Bumble works that like I have to swipe on a guy and then he has to swipe on me. So same as
Right.
Tinder. But I have to message them within 24 hours for the match to then like start.
Actually stay. Okay, yeah.
But if I message and they don't respond within 24 hours, your match disappears.
Okay.
But as far as like men, no, there's no difference. You would think, because the whole idea is like Bumble's supposed to empower women.
Yeah.
About like making first moves. They have a lot more like safety features. So like I've tried posting a photo to my profile before that was A-OK on Tinder and I got flagged on Bumble.
Really?
Yeah, it was a little too cleavagey that they flagged it and removed it from my profile.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be quite honest.
I'm not sure either, but I go through phases of like how I present on
Yeah.
these apps.
But-
I feel like
too.
you must change your pictures all the time.
I wouldn't say all the time, but it also, what's interesting is depending on the app I'm on, my profile looks different.
Fair.
So like my Hinge profile is definitely geared more towards like dating.
Yeah.
Whereas Tinder is more to like fuel my ego at this point. Because
Yeah.
any man I've met off Tinder is literal trash. So it sounds messed up, but I've gotten good at just playing their game.
Yeah.
That I get my ego fueled by shitty men on Tinder.
I mean, if you're going in for it and you know, then that's fine. But
It's shitty that you have to lower yourself to the
Yeah.
standard.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Their
Just,
their
like, get
expectations.
something.
Like, I would love if my profile that's just like me playing hockey.
Yeah.
And me like hiking the Inca Trail and like where I'm sweaty and gross, like I am most of the time. I would love if those were the pictures that got me matches. They're not.
Yeah. That's
They're not.
Yeah. But that's like what I feel like the difference between men and women is like women don't want to see the endless shirtless pics. It was always shirtless pics. It was always trucks,
Yes.
fishing. I think
Yeah.
that's our area as well. But
Such a stereotype, but
Yeah.
that's because it's true.
you want to see pictures, and I get it. Like group pictures are tough when you have all group pictures, because then like who are you in them? But like as a woman, like I want to see your hobbies. I want to see that you're playing sports. I want to see that you're close with your family. I want to see that in your
Yeah.
pictures. Whereas like men are like, I feel like the opposite of that. They're like, just show me
What you
hot
look like.
selfies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
don't
it's
hide your body.
complicated. It's
like-
more complicated than that, though, because in my experience, anyways, they want to see the selfies, but God forbid that your profile's just selfies.
Yeah.
Or if you're a larger body, God forbid you show a picture of your larger body, then you attract like a very different like people matching with you just to tell you that you're fat and ugly.
Like that's ridiculous. But then also men will complain too. That's like, oh, you catfish them when you didn't show a picture of your body
Yeah.
or whatever. It's like that's ridiculous.
I try and have a good mix. Like on all my profiles, I have photos of me without any makeup, camping, dirty, grungy, and then I have pictures of me like going out.
Yeah, so you can
There's
see
no in
that.
between.
Yeah. No, just like normal every day. But
Yeah.
no, see, that makes sense. I think I can't even remember what my pictures were on it, but I think I tried to like do like a mixture
Yeah.
of everything. But
You bring up a great point though about what we're looking for
Yeah.
in apps. So recently I had matched with this guy. And again, it's hard to know like if people are being honest too. So his profile anyways says he's a pro hockey player.
Oh, I matched with one of those.
Uh-huh. So we're chatting and whatnot. And he's like, hey, like, can I follow you on Instagram? Like, can we chat over there? And in my mind, I'm thinking, ugh, you're just looking for Instagram followers,
Yeah.
which he totally was. But anyways, I got a follow for follow. So it's all
Yeah,
good.
it worked out. Yeah.
But then I started seeing stuff that like didn't jive with my values at all as a person being posted to his Instagram story.
Yeah.
So a lot about like one of the clips was like this country was built off the backs of hardworking men, hardworking, honest men, and women owe them all these things because this country was built off of them.
Was Canada built off the hardworking backs of these white? Was he white?
Yeah.
White
I was gonna
men.
we like
Yeah.
acknowledge that, you know, we were not the first
Yeah.
people here.
Yeah.
Let's acknowledge that.
Also, you hate women. Great.
Love that
Yeah.
for you. But then I couldn't hold my tongue anymore. So he posts in the States all the stuff going on with drag shows. So he posted this thing about how drag is inappropriate for women or kids, to partake in or watch. And I couldn't do it. I'm a social
Yeah.
worker, man.
Yeah.
I can't. When things like that don't jive with me, I need to understand why people have the thoughts they do around that.
Yeah.
I opened the door and I shouldn't have opened the
I think
door.
there's a lot of people are just uneducated and looking at don't know
Yeah.
how to do their own research.
Or brainwashed by media.
Well, this is the problem, right? So then we
Yeah.
start this conversation. So finally I open the door, I message him and I was like, I'm just curious. I want to understand. Why do you feel like it's inappropriate for kids to watch drag? And as you know, this ended up being a full day long Instagram, and he's just harassing me with all these videos. Are any of them from an actual source? No. They're all from TikTok. They're all from like weird, like super conservative news sites and stuff.
Oh my
It's like,
gosh.
oh my goodness. And he was wanting to have a debate with me. He asked me if sometime we could have an actual debate about this topic. And I was like, see, the thing about a debate is I've been here all day willing to try and understand your perspective and try and understand why you feel the way you do. you have not done the same.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A debate is two equal sides that are like debating a topic, and you bring sourced material to that, accurate sourced material, and so that's the issue. A lot of the times, that's not the case, and it's so tough because obviously freedom of speech, people are allowed to have their own opinion, but
that's fine.
when it's on human rights, it's like maybe not.
Yeah, when it's like teetering towards like anti-trans stuff too. And then he also asked me that it was how many genders do you believe there are, because he doesn't believe that people can be trans.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. So the social worker in me died a bit that day.
Yeah.
It was really sad.
But good for you for actually like reaching out. Although like, I mean, he's not going to change his mind.
No,
sure,
and I was going to say that's the issue with debates as well. It's like no one's going to change their mind. It's not, and he clearly didn't want to change his mind.
No.
So
he had no interest.
What's the point in the debate? He just wants to spout his bullshit. So
yeah,
good on you for just shutting that down.
Well, like I think probably 3 times I was like, listen, dude, I don't have the energy for this anymore. Like you've got your point of view. That's fine. I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
But that's cool. We're not always going to agree with each other. Do I think in my heart that I am far more comfortable with my future children spending time with drag queens than I am like a priest? Yeah.
Or a pro hockey player.
Or a pro hockey player. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do I think that's safer for kids? 100%.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Bar was on the floor. You might still be able to limbo. Under
that's true.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry, this is off topic, but the all I see on Instagram right now, because I'm a lot on gym Instas, or not Instas, sorry, TikTok. And it's like men don't like women who have like the leggings up at the gym, like hiding their pouch. Every woman has a pouch. Well, maybe not every woman, but most women. It's like literally
there's
your
organs
uterus.
there.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry. And also like, what do you want them to do? Not hide it? You'd be mad about that too.
Exactly.
So
you literally can't win.
I know.
You can't win. You hide it, then you're like catfishing and you're hiding stuff. You don't hide it, you're fat.
Yes.
Like,
it's ridiculous.
What do you want from me?
Or another like gym one I saw too, and I had this conversation with Josh, is like, you are too a runner, and I'm also a very active person, and I ran a half marathon last year and I trained for it, and I'm very confident in my running, maybe not so much after winter and mini eggs, but
amen.
but I like work hard at it and I run a good time. But it's like the TikTok was just like a woman saying, oh, like I ran this pace, and men saying like, oh, I could do that without training. It's like, yeah, you have a different body.
Yeah.
Physically, you're longer legs, you're stronger. Like, we get it. That's why men and women's sports are separated.
Yeah.
But it's also like, so you're going to shit on all of my hard work I put into it. I work way harder to get there, and you're just going to not acknowledge that and say, well, I could do it. And that's the same with lifting weights at the gym. It's like,
I was just going to say, same about bigger people going to the gym, where it's like, I'm sorry, did you not start somewhere also?
And it's also harder for people. It's like, oh, you're coming to the gym like fucking probably on steroids or whatever. Some of these, okay, I shouldn't say that. Not everybody is, but a lot of the people
a lot of
the people are at the competing stage are like injecting things. So anyways, they're coming in and it's like, oh yeah, I'm lifting 20-pound dumbbells, and you're like, that's nothing. But it's like, also look at you and look what you've put in your body. Or like, yeah, maybe you worked hard to get there too. But it's like, did you not start somewhere?
No one is denying that they've also worked hard. That's what gets me, is no one's denying that bodybuilders work fucking hard.
Yeah.
But it doesn't negate that I am also working hard.
Exactly. Yes, 100%. And that anyways, that's the same thing with like running and stuff. Because you hear guys, and Josh, you say it sometimes too. You're like, I could beat you in a 5-kilometer race. I'm like, yeah.
I put a limit though.
He could, but he probably could, because he has longer legs, and he's like, I'm a fast runner, but I'm more of an endurance runner, so he probably could.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that like I'm not working hard or I'm worse.
Honestly, I'm so glad you brought this up, and I hope that we are still rolling, because I feel like this is a really good conversation actually. So that's the funny thing though, is like fitness looks different on different people. So like I am not thin. I probably never will be.
Bodacious.
Well,
that ass is bodacious. Anyways.
But I have worked so hard to mentally come to terms with like, this is just where my body's at if I don't want to constantly be depriving myself of things I enjoy.
Yes.
However, you wouldn't know it to look at me. I run 10Ks.
Yes.
I run 5Ks. I play hockey. I play ball hockey. I had played soccer before. Like I'm a very active person.
But I would still say like and just me looking at you, like I'm not looking at you like and there's nothing wrong with being a bigger person. Like you love your body. That's the most important thing. But like, I think you do look fit. Like, so I can look at your legs and I can see there is muscle there, right? Like which is great too. But it's like, you're exactly right. Like everybody looks different.
And like everyone's idea of fitness is different. So for me, peak of my running, I was running 5K like at least 4 times a week when I was training. So at least 4 times a week, sometimes 5 or 6, I was running 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
And you and I had gone for a run together, and this is peak of my training, but I am 5'3".
Yes.
You are not.
I'm 5'11". No, I'm just kidding. I'm 5'5".
And you have a different structure, and you have a different like endurance, and you had been training differently, and so many different factors that like you could walk beside me to my jog. Yeah, because I have never been worried about getting my best time. I just want to finish.
Exactly.
I want to finish and I want to have fun.
And honestly, so I had this conversation with Josh the other day, actually, too, because, again, we shouldn't have been having this, but we were like, okay, we all ran a race, our whole friend group right now, because we had been talking about running when we went out together with our friend group. Like,
I have a 10K coming up, actually.
Yeah. And Josh was like, right now, if we all ran it, like, what is the order kind of thing? And obviously, it's like, okay, well, the guys. You know, although I said myself, because if it's anything over a certain amount, like I'm trained for that.
Yeah, put Sienna top.
But then still, it's just like, but
no offense.
No, that's okay.
I said to Josh afterwards, I said, I would kill myself trying to beat everyone. And I'm like that because I have that competitive edge. But sometimes I'm like, I wish, and I think this is something that I struggle with, but I wish that I could work out. I love to work out. I love to run, but don't get me wrong. I need to work on the fact that I shouldn't just be doing this for aesthetic reasons, because I am a little bit. And when I'm running to be the best that I can be. And I wish that I could just go for a run and not worry about my time and just enjoy it. If I need to stop and walk, I'm not like, what the hell? Like, oh, I walked. Great. Like, this is going to put my time off. Like, I wish I could
anyone
be like
who
that.
runs knows you have good runs and you have bad runs.
Oh, yes.
And it just randomly happens. Sometimes it's so tough to get through like 2K.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you're like out there and I'm like, nope.
Like it's not happening today.
Yeah. And other times you're like running and I'm like, I actually find the times when I like eat too much the night before, I like run better the next day. It's really like, it's very true. Fuel your body.
Yes.
But yeah, like, and I feel like any woman, like whoever you see, well, maybe not, maybe they've worked harder in therapy and they've understood, like, love yourself.
I have done a lot of therapy.
But I struggle a lot. Like, you might look at me and say, like, okay, I'm fit. And I am. I'm not saying that, but I put in, like, I work out an hour to an hour and a half every day. And I'm running and stuff, but like I have horrible body image. Like and that's something I want to get better at, but I think that also comes from men for sure. Yeah.
It's weird though, because even after all the like negative comments I've gotten online, like from men, the last like 2 years of my life have been the most confident I've ever been. And yet I'm the largest I've ever been.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter. And you're doing amazing. Like, I can tell, right? Like, all of our friend group knows, like, you are in such a good spot.
It took a lot of work to get there, though.
Yeah.
Like, I've done therapy around that and around many other things.
I was going to say, look at your
shirt. Get therapy.
Get therapy, please. But it does make a huge difference. And I'm going to be honest with you. We haven't actually talked about this before. One thing that really helped change my perspective is hearing other people and how they talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So when we were getting ready to go out at times, it's like, here I am so concerned about my stomach. How do I hide it? It's gross. And then other people in our group are like, oh man, like I wish I had your chest.
Oh yeah.
Or like, like my butt's too big. Not a problem. But anyways. I used to get angry about that. I used to get really upset thinking like, how fucking dare you? Yeah. Like, here I am in this body and you're trying to tell me that you wish you had pieces of this? Like, how dare you? I used to get so upset about that, honestly. And then like I flipped the script and I tried to like change my perspective, and it helped so much thinking, wow, it is not going to matter what shape or size I am. It is always going to, like, there's always going to be something.
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm sure I've said that to you. Like, damn, I wish I had those titties. Like, not in those words exactly.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah.
I'd say that works for most.
Men, and probably men too.
For us, like, because even on like Reddit on Wiki, Sean and John are always like, oh, I wish I had your body. I wish I had your body. Because, like, I'm fairly thin. But like over the winter, this is winter, I'd been the heaviest I'd ever been.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and
it doesn't.
you weren't body confident at all.
No, I hated it.
Yeah.
It's so interesting though, right? Like
Yeah.
it's such a perspective, and it's all internal.
Up in here. It's all up in here. So yeah, and then that's not to say us talking like men obviously go through these exact same struggles. Men with different bodies have to deal with this as well. Like we're not saying that
I wasn't
like,
trying to make this a men
no,
thing.
no,
I was just
no.
saying.
Go to therapy.
But this is more of a human thing.
It
Like,
is
it
because I
is.
think
Yeah.
like flip side too is more in the last probably, I don't know, 5 years, let's say, the whole dad bod thing has come in, right?
Yes.
Dad bod, dad bod, dad bod. So like a little bit of chunk, but God forbid, don't be fat though.
Yeah.
Right? There is a similar like flip side to that for men.
For sure.
Which is funny because like especially certain communities of men assume that women want these bodybuilders.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure there's women out there that do.
I have a friend who like she's a like 6'2", so she's
Okay.
like, I want to be a little bitty next to like my man. So she loves men who are like
That's
huge.
You know what? I'm not
Not
gonna
for me,
yuck
though.
your yum,
Yeah.
but like it grosses me out. That
Yeah.
body type grosses me out.
Yeah,
quite
and that's
frankly.
fine. Like everybody can have their preferences, and that's saying like men, if you're like, I don't want a woman who is like super jacked and whatever. It's like, yeah, that's fine.
Everyone's allowed to have preferences. You're not allowed to
treat that
instill
person
those on other
shitty.
people and treat those people
Or
shitty.
tell them the reason why I don't like you or want to date you is
Yeah.
because you look this way. Like beauty fades as you get older. You want to
This
be
is
in a
true.
relationship. I have gray hair now and Josh is still with me now. But like it does. Like I want to be with someone who likes me for my personality way
Yeah.
more than my body. Obviously you need to be attracted to the person. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. You need to be attracted to the person. But
This is
yeah.
my problem though. I've got a rockin' personality.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah. That's true.
Like I think of like back to when I was briefly dating the man who hates cats.
Oh yeah. Okay, so should we talk about him then? Like
What's his name? What's his fake name?
yeah, oh
The man
yeah.
who hates cats.
The man who hates cats. That's his fake name.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Okay.
like it. I like
Yeah.
it.
So the man who hates cats.
Which is what we're calling him.
Yes. So preface, I have a cat.
Yes, Maurice.
Maurice
baby.
is like my son.
Chunky boy.
He's a thick boy.
yeah.
He's not overfed, to be
No.
clear, but he's a thick boy. And I found that we were only together for like a few weeks.
Yes, actually, can I preface this a
Yeah.
little bit? So we have like a friend group, like large friend group or whatever. And I was having a birthday party for myself. And
our friend Emily.
I was throwing a party for myself. Oh yeah, and our friend Emily, we share. Sorry, we hosted, which is just why
Yeah.
the story is
No,
about.
it was
but-
for Sienna.
No, Emily too. Emily too. Anyways, but I had
What's funny is Emily messages me and she's like, I'm just along for the ride, right?
well, I love doing things and I
Yes.
love parties, and I had a bunch of people over anyways. And Katrina messages me saying like, I'm going to bring man who hates cats, but it wasn't out to the friend group yet that they were like fully dating or anything.
I don't think many people even knew that I had met him
Yes.
at that point.
So I was keeping it almost a secret, because not a secret, but I didn't want to tell people because it's your news to tell. And so I like,
Turns out it was no news.
yeah.
to tell.
And then she posts also in like our Facebook event, like, I'm going to bring this in the name, the man who hates cats. And I have people messaging me, who is this? Like, who's she bringing? But I felt so uncomfortable because I was like, I don't want to like out it. Like,
You know what's
when it's,
funny?
like-
Emily told me that you had told Hallie,
Yeah.
but told Hallie not to tell me
yeah,
that you
'cause I
told.
was like-
and I was like, oh my God, Sienna, it's not that big of a deal. Just
I know,
tell
but
people.
I
I
want
don't
to be
care.
your, like your news to tell. Anyways,
No.
whatever.
I'm too old for that shit.
But to preface, we'll get into this, but he did not come to the party. So yeah.
Big eye roll.
Yes, it's a big eye roll.
I can't even remember how we got on this topic. I think it was because this man who hates cats also hated doing literally anything. Like anytime we hung out was just at his house. It was just watching movies.
How did you meet too?
Okay, so we met at a bar because my friend, my really good friend, had gone on a date with his cousin.
Right.
So his cousin went out with my friend Bubs. He had shown his cousin a photo of me, and he's like, oh my God, I need to meet this girl.
Yeah.
So Bubs messages me, asks like, hey, are you down to meet for a drink? Like meet so-and-so's cousin. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we ended up meeting at a bar.
Which
technically
is
through
better
a friend.
almost. Yeah, that's a nice start.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was good at the start. Of course, when you look back, the red flags were there like right from the get-go. But yeah, he hated doing anything. And like I play hockey on Sundays, and often I'd be over there on a Sunday, and he'd try and get me to not go to hockey so that I'd stay there.
Yeah, that is not like someone who's like encouraging you not to do your hobbies.
Yeah. And I mean, there was so many other issues with him as a person.
Yeah. And tell them. Let them rip.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So the name, his code name, I guess, is because very early on into our relationship, he had told me that I need to get rid of my cat.
That's wild.
That Maurice has to go. And at first, I honestly thought he was joking. You know, when
Yeah.
people are like, oh, he's going to have to go, ha, ha, ha.
Like, I don't want to compete for attention.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But he was dead serious. This cat has to go. And
wild.
early on, because we'd only dated for like a couple of weeks, early on, he's talking about me moving in. And when I move in, that I'd have to get rid of my cat. And like, I was really bothered by that.
Yeah. Also, like, why would you think that someone who has a pet would be okay with that?
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, but my thick boy is not an outdoor cat.
Yeah.
He never will be. And that's what he was suggesting. That was his compromise, that I could bring him along, but he'd be outside.
Yeah. No.
And this is like on a very busy street, like a highway that turns into the street of a town. Super heavy traffic. Absolutely not.
No.
My boy wouldn't last a day.
Yeah. It's like that TikTok. Her arms were cut off.
Yeah.
Her legs were cut off.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many pieces. I mean, speaking of values, back to that part of it too. I was getting a different birth control put in.
Yeah.
So I was getting the Nexplanon. And he was so excited that I was getting this because it's good for 3 years and it's more effective than the pill.
Right.
In my mind, I'm thinking, kind of weird that you're so excited about this, but okay.
Yeah.
Like you could just use a condom.
Yeah.
Crazy thought for
Yeah.
men to take responsibility. But anyway, we're outside one day and we're just chatting and he kind of made an offhand comment about like, well, what would you do if you're pregnant right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd get rid of it.
Yeah.
That was like my initial, I was like, bye. Like, book me the
Not right
appointment.
now. Yeah.
Like, absolutely not. And he got upset with me about this. That like, well, like, does he not have a say? I was like, no,
Yeah.
you don't. Like, absolutely not. So like, again, back to values. Like, we don't align on that. Like, he felt strongly
Yeah.
that I should have the baby, but also that I would be a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, yes.
And that I might be allowed to work part-time after our kids are in school.
That is wild.
Maybe.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah. Like, imagine, like, you're and you guys were not dating for that long. Until,
No,
like,
we had
like,
known each
you'll be
other
a
for, like,
stay-at-home
6
mom.
weeks.
You could, I guess you'll be allowed to work part-time after the kids. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I want to be a stay-at-home mom, but I want to do it on my terms. Like,
That is exactly my point. And I never said this to him because he doesn't understand things or people.
yeah.
I would love to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
What I don't love is being told that that's what I will do and
Yeah.
that I might be allowed to work part-time.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
I'm allowed to do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Though his
I'm a
values
grown woman.
align because he's like, you can't choose whether to have the baby. You can't choose whether to be a
Yeah.
stay-at-home mom. Like,
Yeah. No choices.
it tracks. It all
But you know
tracks
what?
with the
I
person.
had a choice to leave his ass.
Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
did.
Because the other thing that red flag on him is he was supposed to come to this party, and that's when we were going to meet him, and whatever, all this stuff. And then
Well, and I knew he was nervous. He
Yes.
would never admit it, but he's got very significant anxiety.
which is fine. Also anxiety.
Same.
Like, yeah.
So I did everything in place, like, because I'm an anxious person. So I was like, listen, you can drink, I'll drive. We can show up early or
Yeah.
late, whatever your preference is. Like, we can, I don't know, like, have more conversations about this. Like, what's going to make you feel more comfortable? We had planned it out. Everything that he felt would make him more comfortable, that's what I was willing to do.
Yeah. And it's not the reason he didn't show up isn't the worst part of it. Like, it is important, like, even if you have anxiety and stuff, to put those in place, but like, you're going to have to meet the friends eventually.
Yeah.
And so, like, the issue was he said he was going to go
Yeah. So
right
he's,
up until the party.
well, no, he said he was
Yeah.
going to go. Then I had messaged him the next day and said, well, we had gotten in a bit of a spat the night before.
Yes.
He hung up on me because he was on about some COVID stuff, but he was drunk and I didn't know what he was talking about. And then he got mad that I didn't understand him. Anyways.
Yeah.
So the next day I had messaged him and I was like, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm leaving at 5:30. Like, I don't know if you're picking me up or what's going on. Opened it, never responded.
Imagine dating someone and having them leave you on read.
Right?
Red. I'm drunk. No.
Read.
Yeah, that was wild to me. That really pissed me off.
And then you came. Like, Katrina came.
Of course
to the party,
I came.
Obviously, yeah.
And then I got hammered, and I had a ton of fun.
And he called you the next day? Is that it?
Called me the next day, apologizing profusely. And then it was the weirdest conversation, though, because, like, it kept turning it back around on me. So he turned it back around on me, but also his big line was always like, I can't use his name. It was always like, he would say, like, oh, poor man who hates cats, about himself.
Pity party.
Pity party. And it's like, I'm sorry, you don't get to feel upset right now. I'm upset.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm upset because you totally stood me up to a room of people that expected you to be
people
there.
were asking. They're like, oh, where's man who hates cats? And you had to be like, well,
so that was another part of the argument, though. He's like, well, I was like, I had to go to a party and explain to everyone why you weren't there when you said you were going to be there. And he's like, well, what'd you tell them? I said that you left me on red and that you just didn't show up. And he got upset that I told people that. I was like, well, I'm not covering for you. Like, what am I supposed to say? I'm not covering for your ass.
Well,
Absolutely
if it isn't
not.
the consequence of my own actions.
Yes. Oh man, that was a wild ride. And yeah, I ended up breaking up with him shortly after that. I tried to make things work after that.
Because there's some pretty serious, like, pressuring into sex things as well.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So that was the final straw. So
Hey, Josh here. Just wanted to give you a little trigger warning for the next, I'd say few seconds to a minute. Just talk of essay. So if you're not interested in that, or that's something that will trigger you, feel free to skip ahead a little bit. We'll put timestamps in so that you can skip to the next portion of the story. Thanks.
So at a younger age, I was like sexually assaulted. So I was open with him about that experience, that like for the longest time, like sex was a super uncomfortable like topic for me.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm having my crazy phase at an older age.
You're owning it. You're like enjoying it.
Yeah. I'm like finding out who I am and what I like and all these things. And I was open with him about that experience. And still numerous times was incredibly forceful with me about having sex. And not only is that a problem, but the sex was bad.
Yeah.
It was
like,
so
I wasn't even going to
bad.
enjoy this in the first place.
Honestly. Okay, so two-parter here.
Yeah.
So why I ended up finally leaving him was I felt the need going over to tell him, I'll come hang out, but I don't want to have sex when I go over.
Imagine telling that to your partner. Hey,
So,
I'll come.
Imagine that, like, the thought process of me having to think, like, I got to tell him because then I'm going to get there and he's going to expect me to have sex with him.
Yeah.
So I prefaced, and his response to me was, why? Is something wrong with your box?
That's so gross.
Ugh.
Ew.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I just don't feel like it. At this point, I was super hungover this day too. So I was like, I'm hungover. I've got a headache. I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, that's okay. So I go over. What do you think the first thing he does is? Shoves his hand down my pants and is like rubbing up behind me, trying to get me to like take my pants off.
Nope.
So I take his hand away and I was like, I said I didn't feel like it. Like I told you this before I came over. Continued to try to the point of like numerous times in like a 10-minute span, I was having to rip his hand from out of my pants.
Disgusting.
Then he get butthurt about that and started sulking on the other end of the couch and said, it's just a little suspicious.
Right. He thought that you would.
He thought I cheated
on him the night before, so that's why you didn't want to have sex.
Yeah.
So that's the only explanation.
Yes.
It's not
or-
you.
It couldn't possibly be that the sex has been terrible this whole fucking time.
And you're also just allowed not to feel like it.
Yes. Especially like hungover, man.
Even when
like,
sex is good, it's like you're not going to have it every second of every day.
I know. It was crazy. So anyways, that's when I left him. But this is the other thing. So I've gotten really good at communicating with my partners like what I want and what I like. And I try and be receptive, obviously, to what they want and like.
Love it.
And so the sex was really bad, but the first time we hooked up, we were both drunk. So I was like, okay, well,
yes. And sometimes
new
it does
partner
take a while.
and like, okay. But then it never got better. So finally I was like, I'm going to have to bring it up. I owe myself this to like try and actually have some good sex. So then I don't even remember how it came up. It came up like playfully though. It wasn't like a sit down serious conversation.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, you know, like these are kind of the things I'm into. And I'm not going to state that for the world.
You don't have to.
his response was like, "Oh, that's nice. I like making love."
It's like, okay, that's cute too.
So you know what
but,
we
like,
did
are
for
you
6
acknowledging-
weeks?
Yeah.
Made love. It was gross.
Yeah.
I don't know what that entails.
Yeah. It's like, what does that
Very
mean?
boring,
Oh.
mediocre sex.
Vanilla.
Very vanilla.
If
Very.
you're into that, you're into that. But you
Hey,
also
yeah,
have
if
to be
that floats your
open to
boat.
your partner's needs and wants. And if they're like crazy, like way you would never do it, then that's a sign you should probably not
Well,
be
that's also a
together.
conversation. Like, what are you
Yeah.
comfortable with? What are you not
Yes.
comfortable with? I also
Be
hooked up with
willing
a
to
guy
try.
from Tinder, actually, who, like, first time meeting, hooking up, winds up and slaps me across the face.
That is
while
wild.
we're
Don't
having
do that.
sex.
Don't do that your first time having sex unless you talk
Don't.
about
That
it.
a slap across
Yeah.
the butt, sure. Do not go for the face without a conversation. Please, for the love of God. Instead, go to therapy.
Yeah.
Please.
Get therapy.
Get therapy.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Oh man, yeah. So that was the man who hates cats. That was I
Never met
honestly
him.
cringe.
Glad I didn't have to.
I wish I didn't have to. But in fairness, you know what? A lesson learned with everything that like I learned to trust my instincts and to trust my gut. I suspect that if I didn't, I would be trapped in a very not good situation.
Yes, absolutely.
He's also very controlling. So
well, right from the get-go, you can't have a cat. Like they're
Yeah.
minor. You may think, but it can get worse. So
And every single time I went out and he wasn't with me, I was always bombarded with questions the next day of like, who were you out with? Where did you go? Did you hook up with anyone?
that's bizarre.
And like, you know me, cheating
Yeah.
is against my nature. Like
Yeah.
I am not that kind of person.
And it's like, yes, you like Josh and I. If I'm going out one night, if I just like don't show up at home. And
There's
he has no idea where
questions,
I'm
for
at.
sure.
Absolutely, there's questions. But in a partnership, and I'm sure you told him, I'm going out tonight with this person here. That's just a normal. But then, like Josh and I, like if he doesn't hear from you the rest of the night, it's like great, you're having fun.
Yeah.
Like
I also think it's different if you live together.
Yes.
We didn't live together.
No,
So
so
like
it's
I
like-
didn't feel the need to tell him when I'm going out and who with.
absolutely, yeah.
But also like I have been single for a long time. So like for me, I try and be really mindful of like my shit too, right? So like
Yes.
I know in my next relationship there's things that I have to do a bit different because I'm so used to just doing whatever I want
independent,
whenever
yeah.
I want and being independent. And that doesn't work for a lot of people.
No.
And that's fine cuz like I have to learn those things
Yeah.
with my next partner, but
Exactly.
yeah,
So-
that was a not enjoyable situation.
No. Okay, so before Man Who Hates Cats, you were also in a more so of a relationship. It wasn't like defined in terms, but it was
Yeah.
it was more long term. Not longer.
Well, yeah, we had been talking on and off for like 2 years. I only recently deleted him off Snapchat, actually.
Yeah, that was wild. This is a man who we will hear more about of where we heard about him a lot. And Katrina would come to us and be like, so
It's
we're
better.
messaging again.
It's
or,
better.
Yeah. And it's like,
It was
oh
never
my
better.
God, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was after you had been talking.
We'll call
someone
him
else.
old school.
Old school. Sure. Yeah. I like that.
You know why.
Yes. I was going to say why, but I
Please
won't to
don't.
keep that name. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you had been talking to
So
this guy.
yeah, I'd reconnected with old school on Tinder, and we had been hanging out and hooking up and whatever. I ended up having feelings, and he didn't feel the same way. And you know what? Like I will credit old school for this. Never pretended it was anything it wasn't.
I was going to say, he was very upfront about that.
His communication was always very clear. And as much as it hurt me and upset me at the time, I am so thankful for that.
Yeah.
Because after being upset about old school, I had matched with Divorcee,
Yes,
on
Divorcee.
Tinder. So funny enough, actually, the first night that Divorcee and I started talking, I was super high on mushrooms.
Love that.
So I'm tripping out, and he's trying to message me on Tinder. So I'm having the most like simple conversation back because like my hands aren't working for me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, listen, dude, I'm so sorry, but like I'm super high right now. And then start sending me gifts of like all these like psychedelic things. I was like, don't do this to me
please,
right
yeah.
now, please. Like I'm peaking. So what got me though, I am a sucker for gifts and I'm a sucker for one-liners, okay? Or dad jokes.
That's how you know we're millennials
Oh,
with the
it's
gifts.
so true.
Yeah.
So he had asked me like where I lived. And this is a guy from Tinder. I don't know you.
Yeah.
So I always give like a general area.
Yes.
So like I'm from Ottawa area, you
Yeah.
know. but I'm high. So he's like, well, where do you live? Where are you from? And I was like, I don't know. Where are you from?
Yeah.
He sends the gif of Michael Scott and them with the finger guns.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, done. All right.
I'm in.
You got me. So anyways, started talking to this guy. He was very persistent for like probably a week or two of like really wanting to hang out, really wanting to meet me in person. But I was still a little upset and like a little gun shy. So like I was kind of putting it off. Finally one night I was like, fuck it. All right, let's go. We ended up just going for a drive. Had a really nice time. At the start, I really liked him. Now looking back, it was like a touch of love bombing almost.
Yeah.
He was always messaging me, always building me up, always like wanting to hang out, wanting to do things. And then we hooked up.
Yeah.
And I call him Divorcee because another red flag to look out for, ladies, when they constantly talk about their ex-wife.
Yes.
And how dirty she did him.
So you're still obsessed is basically.
Still obsessed. And like in fairness, they were still like going through the divorce.
Yeah. Also
so
red flag.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, they had been separated for a while, but they were still like going through the divorce. At least that was my understanding of it.
Yeah.
Because like there was a house and all this stuff, right? So, yeah, like we hung out, we had a great time, but then we started hooking up, and then the communication got like less and less and less, and then this man makes plans with me on my birthday.
Oh,
okay.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. So he knew it was my birthday. I had told him, like, whatever, Wednesday's my birthday. And he's like, perfect. Let's hang out on Wednesday. Great. Done. I'm all excited. Like, oh my God, I've never had a guy want to hang out with me on my birthday. Like, this is so nice.
Yeah.
And at this point, there was still like a fair amount of the love bombing going on. And my birthday rolls around. He messages me maybe twice throughout the day, which was like a shift in communication for sure. And then the evening rolls around. Bubs comes over, wants to get ready with me because I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Okay. And we're gabbing and doing makeup and all, like getting ready and all this stuff. And I wanted to look nice because it's my birthday. And I'm not hearing from him. So I message him and I was like, hey, so like what time are we hanging out? Like when are you coming over? And he's like, well, I'm at the gym right now.
Ugh. No.
I was like, oh, okay. What time do you think you'll be done? I'm not sure, but it's probably going to be at least an hour.
That
So
makes me so
now
mad.
it's like 9:00 p.m.
Yeah.
So I'm already raging. Bubs and I are sitting on the couch. I've had a few beer. And Bubs is laughing, thinking, oh, this poor man who's about to walk in when you're so fucking mad right now. Well, joke's on me because he never walked in. He never responded to my messages and then like kind of ghosted me that night. And we ended up getting in an argument about it too. I was like, you fucking ghosted me on my birthday.
Yeah.
You stood me up.
That's trash.
And
Not even a good excuse. Oh,
and might I add,
you
this
can
man's
leave the gym.
older.
You don't need to work out every day if you made plans.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, like, don't suggest it if you don't want to do it.
Yes.
I never asked to hang out on my birthday. You did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, we ended up getting an argument about it. And again, I seem to have a theme of men turning shit back around on me. I pick them great. That like this was somehow my fault because I should never have expected him to come over that night because he has to work early in the morning. I was like, dude, you suggested it.
Yes.
I didn't ask. You suggested it. So this kind of stuff went on for what, probably 2 years.
Yeah. Oh, on and off.
On and off for 2 years.
There'd be periods where it was like
periods where I didn't
nothing.
talk to him for a while. He dated someone else for a little while. I don't
Wasn't
think
he
that
trying to
worked
get
out.
back with his ex? Or did I make that up?
No,
Okay.
he was
Sorry.
He was dating someone else who I'm pretty sure was his like paid nutritionist.
Oh.
So that's a little juicy.
Yeah.
But, and then just more recently, again, the values thing. Like the last time we talked on Snapchat was like the stupidest conversation of my life. It was about my niece getting in trouble at hockey. And he turned it into this huge thing. I don't even know how we got from point A to point B about like how parents need to be tougher on their kids and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my God, how did we get here? I don't care. I'm just saying she got in trouble. Like, poor kid. Like,
yeah.
What is happening? So I think it was maybe a day or two after that, I just deleted him.
Good.
And for good, it's been numerous weeks, which is the longest I've ever gone without like really trying to communicate with him.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Thank God.
But he really, in my opinion, like he at the beginning made it seem like it was way more than it was.
No, I remember you guys were talking like he was very much into it and he was like wanting
He
to
was
hang out all the
pursuing.
time. Yeah, absolutely. And that was super, super messed up. He was a narcissist, and I'm not going to. Maybe he isn't. I'm not going to.
I don't use
throw
that word
words out
lightly,
there, yeah.
but there's traits
Yeah.
there for sure. But I also think, like, I don't know, where I was at that point in my life too, like, played into it and didn't help the situation at all.
Absolutely. You were, you weren't in the right mindset to be able to
hindsight, I
deal
never
with
should have
that.
hung out with him in the first place because I was still really upset about old school.
You have to be in like a clear mind to like go into something
Yeah.
new for sure.
Yeah. And that was the second person I'd hooked up with in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Big dry
So-
spell. For a little
Very
bit,
large
yeah.
dry spell. And that's
No
on trauma.
problem with that. Yeah. There's no issue with that. But
So that was a very strange, but again, that's a Tinder thing.
Yeah.
I don't, well, you didn't do Tinder, eh?
no, Josh was
I
on
did Tinder.
Tinder. He
Oh,
was
okay,
like,
you were on Tinder.
he like was
But you
dating
didn't meet on
around.
Tinder.
We didn't meet
No.
on
Oh,
Tinder.
okay.
Josh has some good stories too. Off
Well,
that.
I don't know if men experience this on Tinder, but like there's a really weird thing for, at least in my experience on Tinder, where they start off the conversation of like wanting to get to know you and then it just switches like that.
Man, this is a long time ago.
Got to really think back.
But yeah, I've probably been on Tinder most of my early 20s. And yeah, I'd say there were definitely conversations where they would just drop off out of nowhere. So it definitely happens both ways. And that definitely does make you bitter.
Yeah, it makes you jaded.
But I feel like,
Yeah.
would you think that like, so he hung out in person with her a lot and did all this stuff and then dropped off. I feel like women a lot of the time on dating apps will engage the conversations. I was probably guilty of this. Ego boosting. I'm just out of a long relationship. We're having the conversation. I know you're into me, but it's like I didn't really want anything. So then I never ghosted. I was good on that.
Yes.
But I would say like, oh, I'm not really looking into anything. And it's like, yeah, well then why are you on here? And I totally get that. But it's like, I never hung out with them in person to make that seem more of a
or hooked up with
thing.
them numerous times.
Although I'm sure
Right.
it runs the same. I'm sure girls do that to guys too and don't.
And like, I don't know, I feel like I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like sometimes the conversation starts off with like, I want to get to know you, I want this to like go somewhere,
Yeah.
to immediately like, boom, I like your titties.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah.
Like this changed really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the same
it
for
seems
men.
like men can mask it for not
Only
all
a very brief
yeah,
period.
for like a couple conversations. It's
Yeah.
like boom.
Although, like Josh, you've had this story where a girl, you started a new job, and so you weren't on your phone all day, and you told her that, and she like freaked out at you after for not texting her that day.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it, she clearly had some sort of trauma of,
Yeah.
of some kind. But yeah, I mean, we had been talking for like 3 days. It was like Friday we matched, and then I started my new job Monday, and she knew that. I can't even think of a clever nickname for her, but
Yeah.
but
Barb.
Yeah.
Barb. But yeah, and I let her know. I was like, oh yeah, I'm starting my new job Monday. I'm super excited. She's like, oh, that's awesome. Like, good luck. And then like we talked pretty consistently through to Sunday. Monday rolls around, send the good morning text, and then I'm in orientation all day.
And new job, you're not testing the waters with your
I'm
phone.
not on my phone. I need this paycheck. And so like I got my phone and like it's literally my desk. I don't even have it on me. And I come back and there's just paragraphs
Stop.
of how dare you fucking not text me back and like blah blah blah. I can't remember it all now, obviously,
Yeah.
but it was just so much. I looked at the first 3 sentences. I was like, I'm not dealing with this on my break. And so
I've only got 15
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
yeah, so I think I did end up texting her just saying like, hey, I just started my new job. Like, if you're not okay with not talking for a little bit, maybe we should just end it. And she came back with like apologetic, but I was like, nah, this is like,
Well, still,
Yeah.
red flag.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
red flag right off the bat to
Yeah.
just be that obsessed and needing to constant
Yeah.
contact. And so I told her no. And then I think she tried to continue the conversation. That's when I ghosted, but I'd said no at that point.
This is the thing about ghosting. And I recently have had an experience with ghosting. The one that we like hung out a couple times. I thought it was really good.
Yes.
And then he just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. Anyways, I've had a conversation with Bevins about this recently. It sucks having to tell someone like, you know what?
Oh, it does.
I'm not really into it. I'm not really interested. Or like, you know what? Like if this level of communication isn't okay with you, like those conversations suck. They're
Oh,
never
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
but they have to be done.
Yep.
And I hate when men won't just, or women, won't just say,
Yes.
I've lost my train of thought, so we're going to have to cut that out.
Say that they're not into it.
Say that they're not into it. Just own it. And like, sure, I might be upset. My ego might be a little bit hurt, but I have so much more respect for you as a person that you can just say, you know what, I'm not into it. I'm not really vibing this, rather than just stop talking.
And then you're wondering, there's no closure.
There's no closure.
Yeah.
And granted, I think it depends on how long you're talking. Like, if I've had a match that, like, maybe 2 or 3 messages back and forth, then I don't feel bad if I'm bored of the conversation. I just don't respond.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I've ghosted then, but that's my level of ghosting is, like, a couple messages or nothing serious or anything like that.
You've not, like, been talking.
Yeah, we haven't met up. I think, I don't know, because, like, whenever I've let someone down, I mean, it's always been a woman. I'm not into men, but whenever I've let a woman down, it's usually like they're like, okay, cool, thanks for letting me know. I feel every story I've heard of a woman letting a man down,
it's different.
It's always like a blow
And there's a safety thing if it's in person.
Yes.
But if so the men that I was talking to on Tinder, this is my time of getting out of a relationship, it being pandemic time.
Yeah, you had a shit go there.
Go with that. But I was talking to a few people.
Josh.
Yeah, but he was one. I was talking to him and these other guys because Josh was being a little coy person. I knew we liked each other. Like, we were having great conversations. We were talking on the phone. We were video chatting. We had made plans to meet up in July because we were like, COVID's got to be better by then.
I heard all about this. Did you know the panic she went into and all the outfit photos that she sent us prior to your
Josh
first
doesn't even
meeting?
remember what I was wearing, and I remember exactly what he was wearing.
I kid you not, Josh. The group message had probably like 15 photos of outfits in it.
Thank you.
Exposed.
Before that, I was like, hey, like, I just want to know, like, what do you, and we hadn't met, so I understood why he said this, but I was like, hey, like, what do you think? Like, are we just hooking up? Or is this
like,
gonna
what
be something?
can I anticipate?
And he said, I don't really know. We'll have to see. And I said, fuck you. No. But I was like, I was upset about it because I was like, okay, because I had been
but that's a response I would give.
But
because I've been asked that before too.
Yeah.
And I never will commit to it because I don't know how I'm going to feel when I show up there.
And that's totally valid. I totally get it. But the reason I was asking him that is because I had been talking to other people.
Yeah.
Now knowing Josh was only talking to me, and he thought I was only talking to him. So why he ever said that, I don't know. But he knew I was talking to other. Sorry, he knew I was talking to other.
Keep turning the volume down.
He knew I was talking to other people. And so
did I know you were talking to other people?
Yeah, I think you did.
I don't know.
At one point you did, for sure, because I
Maybe.
told you. But
It doesn't matter
I was
either way.
going to use that as if he says, I was like, I'm going to go all in.
Yeah.
And he said that, so I was like, guess I'm not going all in. So then I was still talking to these people. But then in the long run, that kind of, obviously Josh and I ended up together, and there's at that point where we were like, okay, this is it. But then I had to let down these people that I'd continued conversations with because I wasn't sure. And most, like, the 2 really nice guys, like, obviously I had to turn them both down multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
The one,
they weren't taking no for an answer.
no, young dad was like, well, I was like, we can be friends. Like, he was new to the Ottawa area. So I was like, I'm totally cool with being friends. Like, he was like a really nice guy. We had similar interests. But he was like, yeah, because then we can be friends. Then you never know what's going to happen. I'm like, no, that is not how it goes. And then the other guy was kind of less of didn't take it like too well. It wasn't horrible, but I struggled with that, like, growing up, and especially in university, is telling guys no. Yeah. Because I liked to go out. I liked to have fun. Maybe I did flirt, or maybe I'm just a super nice like, that sounds so bad, but I'm just like super nice. I didn't mean that. I'm a people pleaser. So like, I'm looking there to, like, people please. And I feel like I get along with a lot of people. So there were times, and I drank too much in university. Not alcoholic, but, like, I drank to a point where I couldn't remember sometimes. And I would get myself into situations where I wanted to say no. Sometimes I did say no, and then things would happen. And it's just like, afterwards, I've learned to, like, forgive myself and stuff. But it's just like, because I was so scared of saying no, and then being like, well, then why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? And then there were times where I did say no, and they just didn't take no as an answer. Yeah. And so it's like, why would? And when you're drinking and
vulnerable, which again, not an excuse.
No.
You're in such a different position then too.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. And if
It's
no,
scary.
it works sometimes. So like, why? Anyways, I'm not that person anymore, and obviously that's
But none of that was your fault.
no, and I know
No.
that.
Yeah.
But now it's like I don't care. Like I've grown a lot as a person to be like I could turn, and I will never turn anyone down meanly. But like
That's a thing. You don't have to be an asshole about it.
No.
All you have to say is I'm not interested.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I'm okay. My ego can handle that.
Men
I will be
sometimes
okay.
can't. Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of men. Okay, so actually, we didn't put this on the agenda, but another Hinge guy actually. Peak of the pandemic, we met up, and very different like aesthetic of what I would normally go for. Like he was head to toe covered in tattoos.
Oh.
Piercings, like his whole scalp is tattooed now at this point.
Wow.
So then we were talking on Hinge, and it's like, you know what? He seems really funny, seems kind, like maybe a little weird, but not in a safety weird way.
No, just like a unique.
Just a little different. So he had wanted to hang out, so I was like, yeah, okay. So we ended up going for a tour. We walked around the park, and I found out like a lot about him, and I really liked him. Still not like what I would go for, but I was like, you know what? There might be something here with this guy. Like he seems super cool. He's got quite the history. Like he's ex-Mormon, and just like very like interesting stories and stuff. And then not long after we hung out in our messaging, he dropped a bomb of like some kind of kinks that he had. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't remember this at all.
So he had some weird kinks, but we weren't even talking about that at the time.
That's
He
weird
brought it
saying
up
that.
out of nowhere. And my immediate thought was, I'm
Yeah.
not going to kink shame, but like I'm also just
Not into
that's
that.
not for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I kind of had to have that conversation. So we stopped talking for a while, but we still had each other on Snapchat. And then he's been in and out for the last, like, I guess 3 years now. And at one point, like, I think it was last summer, we had been talking a lot again. And he was like, we should hang out. Like, he's really wants to hook up with me, and I'm not interested. But I had to have that conversation with him. And I was like, listen, like, I don't want to be that person to be like, I just see you as a friend.
Yeah.
But like, I honestly, truly, really see you as a friend. Like, I don't want to hook up with you.
Yeah.
But I do really like talking to you. And if you're not okay with not hooking up, I get it. But then I'm not gonna keep talking to you, because like I don't want to keep the idea going that I'm gonna hook up with them. And he handled it so well. Like, was A-okay with being friends. Like, he still flirts and stuff, but like.
Like,
But,
never
like,
brought up.
No, and like he was questioning his sexuality a bit too, and like exploring. So like he would ask me stuff about like hooking up with guys.
Oh, I like
so
that.
like we ended up with this really
Oh, I know
like
what
kind
this
of weird, different like friendship situation, which I love, and like I cherish him a lot. I really do enjoy talking with him. But there's still though that underlying, like, if I gave the go ahead, he'd drive the 2 hours right now to be here. If I gave the go ahead.
Oh my God.
In a heartbeat.
I love that for him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I love that for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also like respectful enough that like if he's being flirtatious and I change the subject, he never brings it back. He just,
Yeah.
he shoots his shots every now and then, and I shoot them down.
And that's
And
the
we move
cycle.
on, and we keep being friends. Like, it's all good.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can go okay, but in my experience, that's the one time out of a lot of not good ones.
Yeah. No one wants to be the rejecter or be the rejectee.
Yeah.
I do have a theory about ghost guys, though. Guys who ghost.
Okay.
I feel
I like that you had to clarify what ghost guys
Yeah.
means. Like guys who
wanted to-
ghost. Yeah.
Wait, now this is a ghost
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
because it could mean guys you ghost.
Oh,
I guess.
okay. Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to clarify it's
Alright.
the guys doing the ghosting. I feel like, because we've read a million Reddit stories and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of the guys do it because they want to keep their options open. They don't want to close that door
Ah.
so that they always have that opportunity to be like,
Oh, I'm back. Like something else didn't
yeah,
work
hey,
out.
I was busy or some
Yeah.
I was
bullshit.
going to say, you know what they always come back with? I wasn't ready then.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
usually what it is.
Yeah.
I'm in a different place now.
Are you?
Like, no, you're just available.
You're just
now.
horny.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my theory. So
Yeah, I
feel
can
like
see
that
that. I feel like
stands, yeah.
maybe for some people especially. Yeah, definitely.
And in fairness, like, if that's the theory, I guess I'm guilty of that too. Like, typically, I'm not like an all-in kind of person, but I'm an all-in the sense of like I don't have the attention span to keep numerous conversations with different people going at the same time.
Right.
So like at most I'm usually talking to like I think the most I've ever had on the go at one time was 3.
Yeah.
And that was tough. It was difficult. But I've been in the same position though, I guess, where it's like, well, like I'm more interested in this one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see where that goes.
Yeah.
And then when that doesn't pan out, like sometimes, you get a little drunk and you message the other ones again. But I don't know. I think back to your point about jaded, I think I very much am though, because I feel like there's a lot of times with particularly Tinder, I feel like I'm like playing the game.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what it turns
I feel
into.
like that's what I've gotten better at. Of like, I'm going to be... The tough part is my confidence is a lot better than it used to be, as you know.
Yes.
That's almost to my detriment.
No.
Because part of the problem is like in my mindset sometimes going into it is like, I'm going to fuck with you as much as you fuck with me.
Right.
Okay.
Do
So
you know what I mean?
you're playing back towards
I
their
play it back.
their bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I meet them right where they're at. Like if you're not
But I
going to
think
treat
that's
me
a
with
bad thing.
respect, I'm going to fuck around with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some fun with this.
Yeah.
Which I
mean,
think is fine.
yeah, taste of your own medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They
Yeah.
never understand that.
No, I was gonna say they never
Wow.
learn, but
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sad though. It's sad that that's what it's turned into, is me feeling like every time I open that app, it's a game and I have to like get my game face on and ready.
yeah. Well, and that's the issue with dating apps nowadays. That's they've gamified it so much that that's what it is both ways.
Yeah.
It's just
for sure.
what
Or just ego boosts. Like,
or that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
Alright, like-
I mean, I have less of an issue with just an ego boost
Yeah.
than people who try and play with other people's emotions
Yeah.
or like
No, that's true.
ghost them. Like you're doing it in reverse towards them, so that's fine.
Yeah, I
but-
never go in
Like,
doing
just doing
that
it to
first.
someone,
but
yeah.
like
Yeah.
if you start showing me that side of you, you're gonna get it right back from me.
Yeah, which again, they're not going to learn, which is unfortunate.
No.
No, but I get a slight bit of enjoyment out
Yeah,
of it.
which
So-
is-
So there's
You know?
something.
I know
Yeah.
that sounds messed up, and I probably shouldn't even be on the apps because I feel that way. But 2 things I guess I can say out of all the dating advice I've ever been given, 2 things come to mind. It's date older because they're more mature,
Yeah, I've heard
and
that.
meet someone naturally. What I can
Yeah.
say is I've done both of those things. They're never more mature, ever.
They just have more problems.
They just have more problems. There's a reason why they're single at like 34
They're
when
divorced.
you're 26.
Yeah.
They're divorced. Or meeting them like in a natural
Naturally,
way.
yeah.
Like I've met a few people at a bar or through a mutual friend, and they all end up the same anyways. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how you meet someone or what age. If you go older, younger, it does not matter.
I agree. They're like the only reason that I would say that I liked kind of knowing Josh. Like I knew Josh. We had met twice before we actually started dating, but we have a very close mutual friend, was because when we started talking, I instantly felt like a greater connection
Yeah.
because we had mutual.
You have more to
connections
talk
and
about.
friends.
for
You have more to
sure.
talk about, and I felt a little bit safer because I
Yep.
knew he was a friend of my friend, so I didn't feel weird
Yep.
about meeting up or things like that. So that would be the only thing I would say. Like, but then you could meet someone naturally and still have like no mutual friends or like things to talk.
I was going
about.
to say,
But,
I think
yeah.
it was easier at the beginning. I mean, it's nice
Yeah.
now because we have like mutual friends who we know, but like it definitely eased the conversation
Yes,
into,
absolutely,
oh, we
yeah.
have something to talk about. We have this
Yeah,
to talk
Especially right off the bat.
about. Yeah,
Right
exactly.
off the bat, it's always like, so
So the
crazy
pandemic.
it's raining
Yeah.
out, right?
So when was the last time you left your house?
Yeah.
Do you also live at your parents?
Yeah.
Oh, that cuts deep a little bit.
Yeah.
What dating advice would you
Yeah.
give people? What's a good? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, you
but-
are. I think the biggest thing I've done, so whether this works for other people or not, is I make a really conscious effort to not take myself too seriously.
I like
Hmm.
that.
Okay.
Because you know me, I'm like pretty like historically type A. I'm a planner.
Yeah.
I need things to make sense. I'm super anxious. And I've really, really let go of that over the last like few years. And yeah, like not taking myself so seriously, because like it's okay if someone doesn't like me.
Yes. Yeah.
That's okay. Like I'll survive, and
Yeah.
that's not meant to be then. Like not taking shit
Why
so
force
seriously.
something?
Or like with photos is a good example, not taking myself too seriously. Like there's stuff on my Tinder that are not good pictures.
Yeah.
But like they're funny or they're great memories of mine. So like they're on there anyways.
They're who
'cause
you are. Yeah.
That's who I am. It's not always like makeup and going out clothes and stuff like selfies. It's not all that. Like sometimes it is haggard on a beach in Lake Traverse with no makeup and haven't showered in 4 days. Just not taking it so seriously, I guess is the answer to your
I
question.
like that. That was a really good piece of advice.
Yeah.
Good job.
That was good.
Thank you. That was very on the spot, so I
Yeah.
hope that was okay.
No, it was good actually. I was like, damn.
Yeah. Words
Damn,
of
girl.
wisdom.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us for my first ever Sangria with Sienna little session here. And my lovely guest, Katrina, was so nice to come on and drink some sangria with us and talk so much about just men and dating and all that fun stuff. So I hope that you guys enjoyed listening. And I'm sure everyone has their own funny stories too.
Should they write in?
You could do that.
Write in.
Yeah. We could
Write in your
absolutely.
Sure, let
Tinder
us
horror
know.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
write
could
in
do
your
that.
Tinder horror stories. Yeah, that would be good.
There's like a Tinder subreddit too.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I'm
So
sure
we could
there
do a
is.
mix someday.
Yeah, ones
Yeah.
like that have been left specifically to you mixed with the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. So yeah, if you want to, whatever, I'll figure out something.
Okay.
Because we're not even sure where this is going up. But yeah, if you want to submit your own Tinder stories or dating horror stories, send them in, and maybe we'll have both Katrina and Sienna back to react to them.
Yeah.
Oh, please. Oh, please.
Girls
I would
react
love
to
that.
Tinder horror stories.
Oh.
They'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, write those in. I'll put a link in the show notes where you can send them, and we'll have some fun with that.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. I don't know why I gave the peace sign. I am a millennial.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's like way back.
Yeah.
Duck lips too?
Yeah.
Did you do duck lips?